on YouTube.
You know who's the most gangster?
Who?
Zillow.
Yeah.
Zillow has warehouses of cold callers that call every single real estate agent and tell them, don't go out and reach out to people. Buy our ads. Buy our leads.
They do.
Interesting.
Yeah.
They're the most effective callers in the industry.
Is this known? Is it known that Zillow has like a warehouse?
Oh yeah.
If you're a realtor,
This is yeah.
you're a realtor, they blow you up.
Because I've never in a million years thought that Zillow was like a cold calling.
Do you have a real estate
Every
license?
company is.
Yeah.
Every industry has people that reach out all day long to find business. I mean, it's in every industry. It just wasn't in real estate investing until I started getting real loud about it.
Yeah.
And it's not just me. It really coincided with the availability of skip tracing.
100%.
And when skip tracing was once you were able to get accurate phone numbers, and the data companies, essentially the credit agencies sold the data, and that's how we have skip tracing.
Brent Daniels.
Come on.
Mr. TTP in the house.
Man, we have been talking about doing this together, this podcast specifically, for a very, very long time. Brian and I are very excited to have you on the pod today, the Wealthy Investor Podcast.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yep. Well, for those that don't know, Mr. TTP is the owner of Wholesale Inc. He is a cold calling expert and a wholesale sniper, multi-millionaire investor, all of these things. So,
well, listen, let's be real. Like, I believe every successful entrepreneur is a cold calling expert.
Really?
Every single one. I don't know a successful entrepreneur that doesn't spend most of their day on their phone.
I never thought about that until this moment.
Right?
But you're 100% correct.
And whether it's just reaching out to people that are connecting you with somebody else and it's kind of a referral, it's still your first time talking to them. You're still reaching out to them cold. Now, usually you warm it up with a text message or you're in a group text or something like that. But people are introducing you to people all the time. And as you start building your business, you're talking directly to the customers or the property owners or whatever it is your business is running. And then you start talking to your people, and then you start replacing yourself in the different roles in your business, but you're still on the phones.
I never thought about that until now. You're right. The best skill that an entrepreneur is mastered is you're basically talking on the phone.
That's it.
So let me ask you this. Who's your best friend? Do you have one in mind?
Yeah, Mike Mahoney.
Okay, Mike Mahoney. If Mike Mahoney's like, hey, I've got this person I want you to talk with.
Yeah.
Do you take that call immediately or do you think about it?
No, I'd take it immediately.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, these days I feel like when you are a successful entrepreneur, there are 1,000 times a day where people are like, hey, I got to connect you with this person.
Oh, sure. But you have to understand, if you're talking to your best friend, my best friend works with me. So he's like my filter. So nobody, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the people that he tells me to talk to are people that are what he would deem important to whatever we're working on.
Yeah.
So it's like, let's go right to it, right? And so I think and it's not only that, it's talking to people like in your business, but also people that are successful and in other businesses and, are kind of a few steps ahead of you, and being able to open up those doors with a conversation is critical if you're going to keep going further. I mean, as soon as you started, you were an agent, and then you started really understanding, okay, I need to be around these people that are investors. I need to be around these people that are doing other types of deals. You sought out those conversations. We talked in 2018, 100%. If you remember that. Yeah. So, I mean, it's you're constantly, I think, introducing yourself to other people and just seeing who filters down in that and who's going to be really your core kind of like board of directors that you work with. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
your personal board of directors.
Yeah.
And so you talk to those people all the time.
So, okay. So before we get into the cold calling, I actually want to hear a little bit about, I guess, your story from what you were doing before you were cold calling to wholesaling, and then your transition from wholesaler to entrepreneur.
Yeah. So, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, right? Changed the brain. I read that at 21, 22, mushy brain, and was like, okay, well, this just makes all the sense of the world. Be a real estate entrepreneur. And so I got my real estate license in 2004. This is before Zillow. Yeah. This is before YouTube. This is before Instagram. I mean, this is before there was podcasts. There was before this,
Yeah.
Well, dudes didn't do this in 2004. You had to have like a radio station, and you had to have all these things, and it was a whole different world. So it was like you could either go to a seminar, right, or you could try to learn from somebody locally. Well, I didn't know anybody. I was just coming out of college. I went to a couple of the seminars, but they were like, they wanted, significant investment at the time. I didn't have the financial means.
What did you study in college, by the way?
Finance and economics.
Okay. Do you feel like you use that today?
No, but I think, I don't know if you guys agree with this, but I think that I think I was just born an entrepreneur. I have a problem with authority. I have a problem with people controlling my time. Yep. I have a problem with people telling me what to do unless I'm interested in the thing that I want to do.
Yeah.
I'm coachable if I like it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think everybody has that in some sense. It's not like some, unique thing, but I've never had a job in my life.
Really?
Never. In college, there was a deal in my house. You played sports or you got a job. So I played sports all through high school, got a scholarship to play in college.
What sport?
Football.
Nice.
And
what position?
Free safety.
Oh,
and
he's a hitter.
And then, but during the summers, my parents were like, "Well, what are you going to do?" And I said, "Can you convert your garage into a gym, and I'll just pass out flyers." And I'll just train people.
Really?
Yeah. And so my grandma gave me like $1,000. I bought like a bench and some squat racks at the time, and I would train moms and high school athletes because I had a reputation for
dynamic audience.
That's it. It was great. The mornings, the moms
and the
came
son.
in.
Hey, 2-for-1 special.
100%.
Bring a son, get 50% off.
It was $300 for the summer. I had 20 people. I made what's that? $6 grand.
$6,000. Yeah.
And I was cool. Like I didn't, and that was good. And then I got into the real world and became a real estate agent.
Okay.
And got my license because that was kind of, I didn't know how to get into the rooms with people that were doing deals. And so became a real estate agent in 2004 and 2005, and the market was going bananas. And so you get right out of college, you make 6 figures.
Yeah.
And you're a millionaire. I mean, I was like, what? I didn't even know what paying taxes were. I didn't know what, you know what I mean? Like, I was just like, I bought the Audi A4 black, I went out. Yeah, right.
Realtor?
100%. 100%. So just went into that and then, lost everything in the crash. That's a pretty common story. And then had to claw back. And that took a while. It was a 4-year hangover from that before I really started to get back on my feet. And
how old were you when you got your realtor's license?
22.
22. Okay. Yeah. And so you get you're crushing it. This is before 2008. And you're saying you made $1 million. You felt like a millionaire based on what you were making.
Yeah.
Was there something that you felt at that time was super gratifying? Like, were you like, oh, if I get this A4, I've arrived?
Yeah. I mean, it was everything, right? It was, I can pay for dinners for my family. Yeah. You know what I mean? It was,
Dad, I'll pay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And like Friday pizza night or something. You know what I mean? Not the big bills, not the whole family. We got a big family, but it was.
You tip, I'll pay the bill.
It was those type of things. It was going out for the first time and buying rounds and having fun and just like no real responsibilities. I mean, in real estate, you can go and you can put in a bunch of work in the morning and then in the afternoons you can just do whatever you want. Go to the gym, go to the bar, go hang out with friends, do whatever you want. And so I just wasn't super focused, and I didn't know how to be an entrepreneur, and I didn't know how important the phone was. I didn't, because I got to the point where always in my mind, how do I get off the phones? How do I get somebody else to do this? How do I find deals easier? How do I get these opportunities to just fall into my lap? And I was always chasing that. And so I wouldn't take the money home. I would do the classic thing where I would go, all right, I'm going to pay myself $5 grand a month and for myself, and then the rest I'm going to invest in my business. And then I looked up, and there was no money. I spent all the money because I didn't have the leadership skills, I didn't have the experience, I didn't have a proven plan to follow. You know what I mean? I just thought I would just put it all together, and it would make sense because money will always keep coming in. And then the crash happened, and real estate got really tight and congested.
Yeah,
and so I had to. had to like lick my wounds for a long time.
Okay, how long did you have to lick your wounds?
4 years.
4 years. So
Yeah.
I want to talk about that really quick because I think we went through something in 2022 where a lot of people lost money.
Yeah.
So we run an education company for flippers.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, if you were flipping houses in 2022 and you didn't buy right, you lost a lot of money.
Yep.
I just sold a house that I lost $200,000. And thank God, you know, I had the funds to close it and get rid of it. But there's a lot of people that don't have that much money. I had some people that I knew that had 14 flips and they were scaling and, you know, trying to grow their business in January in 2022. And guess what? They raised the interest rates and then they lost everything and more. So they lost everything and more because of the interest rates. So I guess like talk to me about when you lost everything, what your mindset was like and what did it take to get it back to, you know, where you were ready to take over the world again?
The interesting thing that you said is losing 200. You didn't just lose 200. You really lost 300 after taxes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The 200 after taxes is like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a people don't realize that when you're talking about those losses and or the gains.
Yeah.
People always forget about taxes.
Yeah.
So people really need to understand that. But for real, I mean, if we're having
it hurts more, Brent Daniels. Damn, I just sent the wire to close the house.
As a resident YouTuber, I understand when you talk about anything, and they're like, "But what about the taxes?
Right.
Yeah.
You didn't talk about the taxes, you scammer." And it's
Yeah.
like, well, I mean, it's a whole nother video. It's complicated.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Well, yeah, and then when you become an entrepreneur, you start paying payroll taxes. It becomes the whole thing.
Oh, yeah,
W-2s,
for sure.
the whole thing. It's a whole. It's exciting, but there's a lot to that. Anyway, I felt awful. I mean, I fell into a bottle for 2.5, 3 years. I was just hanging around with the wrong people that just wanted to kind of get by, live in a 1-bedroom apartment. Why do you need all those things? Like everything, all of that ambition that I built up through sports and family and friends and all these things like evaporated, and I felt like a complete failure. Absolutely bottom of the bucket. I wasn't even that. I owed $700,000 on a judgment because I signed an office lease for a real estate brokerage in January of 2008.
Oh, shit.
October 2008.
Like fresh,
the world was
when it all
dead.
happened.
And I signed a personal guarantee on this office lease. So what happens to everybody out there is when you sign a personal guarantee and you don't pay it, they sue you.
Could you file bankruptcy?
So I couldn't.
Why?
Because my business partners took our business books to California and I never saw them again. I couldn't file taxes. You have to be able to file taxes to declare bankruptcy.
Wow.
Oh my God, I didn't know that.
That's an interesting technicality I've never heard
In
of.
the same thing, in the same time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So there I am just fighting and scratching and clawing and having to go to these financial reviews with their attorneys every 6 months to make sure I didn't have much in my account.
What?
Yeah.
Have you ever gotten in contact with them since?
I've settled it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was able to, and that's why I'm saying
The original business partners.
Oh, them?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah. No.
They exist somewhere in the ether.
Yeah. And so, but with the judgment, I was able to settle that, and that's why I love, and I'm so like honored and grateful to speak at the Wealth Conference tomorrow, because having a name, address, and phone number changed my entire life. You know what I mean? Changed everything. All I need is a name, address, and phone number, and I can reach out to people that own ugly houses, and I can have anything that I want financially.
Yeah.
I truly believe that because I went through all that, and my dad gave me a car, and then it got beat to hell in this crazy freak hailstorm in 2010, so the back windows blasted out, so I taped that up with plastic, and that's all flopping all over the place.
Like,
I'm
like
parking
clear tape?
Yes. not like packing tape, bro. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like just garbage bags.
What?
And so I would just park around the side of whatever property I was going to for whatever, being an agent and being a wholesaler at the time. And I would just try to do the deals and fight my way out of it. And that's essentially what happens. And that's what I'm opening the speech tomorrow with is I remember being out there and I had like $40 in cash and they wouldn't give me a checking account because my credit score is 430 because I had given 5 properties back, 2 cars back, a ton of credit cards, everything.
I didn't realize that checkings accounts were tied.
Well, my credit cards were with Bank of America and Chase and Wells Fargo.
Yeah.
And so I couldn't get a checking account because they thought I would just overdraft it.
Wow.
And so I had $40. I drove by Tommy's house, this dude that owned this house that I saw like boarded up. And I was able to get his phone number from my brokerage. They had a skip tracing service, and I called him up, and he had an offer on it, and he told me it was sold, but it wasn't, and I was able to get that deal. And I'm going to go into it in more depth tomorrow, but it was a $42,000 turnaround in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Because of a name, address, and phone number.
So explain that. So you have a name, an address, and a phone number. What can you do with those 3 things specifically? Like
you can call somebody up and ask them when they plan on selling their property. That's it. That's it.
Okay, so worst case scenario, they say
no.
No. Best case scenario, they say yes.
Yes, or how much usually. There's only 6 responses when you ask somebody if they would consider an offer on their property. Yes, no, maybe in the future, how much will you give me? Who are you and how'd you get my number? That's it.
Okay.
That's the 6
Did you have like 6 pages in front of you?
I did. I kept writing I kept calling on properties, and I was like, okay. First, I was door knocking. I door knocked because I didn't know I could get phone numbers, and so I was door knocking. I kept running up across the same responses. It's the same except for who are you and how'd you get my number, and so I realized if they say yes, this is what you say. If they say no, this is what you say. If they say maybe, and all these other things. So as long as you know the responses when you ask somebody if they would consider an offer, you can feel comfortable and confident moving forward. And then I it's not this way now, but it was 1 out of 63 people I talked to, I could get a contract. I could get a deal under contract.
That's pretty high.
That seems, no, I thought
1 out of 200 is.
I'm sorry, pretty low.
Oh yeah,
it's now 1 out of 200.
You guys have a student named, or I guess he's not a student anymore, but Ray. I remember he gave a talk back in the day. He said, "Oh, I calculated it, and 1 out of every 82 people, I would get a sale or whatever." And so he said, I knew that I had to call 82 people to get a yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
And for him, it was a math equation. So what?
Well, it's not even a yes. That was to get a deal. That was to close a deal.
Yeah.
And what I would do is, it was dumb simple. I would go around with a pad of paper and a pen, and I'd write the name of the address, the street address at the top, and then I'd drive by any ugly house and I'd write down the number of the house.
Yeah.
And then I'd go back. And my brokerage had LexisNexis, which is like a data company. Yeah. And I get the phone number, and I would just call. That's all I did from 9 to noon every morning. 9 to noon every morning. I was making these calls. And I had done a couple deals where I just earned a commission. I talked to an investor, and I was like, if I find you this deal, will you pay me 3%? And he's like, yeah, no problem. Well, he was assigning them. So I would go to the closing, and he wasn't on the closing; it was somebody else. And so he assigned the first 3 deals for $92,000.
Ooh,
right? And so I was like, wait a second.
Damn.
If I'm the buyer, I talked to a hard money lender, and I was like, hey, if I find a really good deal, will you give me 100%? Would you fund 100%? They go, yeah, if it's a really good deal. So now I know I'm a buyer. So I'm like, I'm a buyer. I now have I have the funding. I could buy this. And so I would just call people as the buyer, and Tommy was the first one that I did as a buyer, and it was $41,000. I remember the hardest part. It was a 2-week escrow. The hardest part was trying to find an online checking account that would give me the ability to cash a check. I didn't want to go to a check cashing place because they took like 10% or something crazy, or 20% or whatever.
Just to cash a check.
Yeah.
Man,
and I didn't know what I was going to do with.
So this is before the days that you could just snap a photo of your check and have it deposited.
Well, I'm sure you could. I just, not the banks that would give me a checking account.
Right. Man, that's crazy. We're so spoiled,
Yeah.
There's so many online banks now. You sign up and.
That's what it was. It was some white. It was some all white debit card, and I had to send in like, a couple $100.
Yeah.
And I think I borrowed it from my parents, and to get a checking account, and then boom, It worked.
So you started off you started off as a realtor, then you started wholesaling.
Yeah.
How much revenue did you scale your wholesaling business to?
2021 was our biggest year. We would have beat it in 2022, but then everything shifted and the accordion that is our economy squeezed in. So we did 1.7 in 2021 and 1.4 last year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dang. So you grew.
And I do that with 4 people.
With 4 people, 4 cold callers, or
No, 4 like main people on my team. I do that with a lead manager, an acquisition manager, which is basically sales.
Yeah.
A junior acquisition manager, which just warms up the leads.
Yeah.
And then a disposition manager.
Got it. Okay, so I guess.
Sells the deals.
All right, let's get into the wholesaling. Okay, so are these 4 people just cold calling all day, or like can you break down what your business looks like?
Yeah, I have one cold caller that made me $638,000 last year.
What?
Yeah. Nobody knows how to work with VAs. Nobody knows.
638,000, and it was a VA. Lived in the United States.
No. An American living in Costa Rica, Fran. She's been with me 4 years.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
638,000.
You have to train your people. And
so you're telling me you have to train your team.
And
most people don't understand
not only
that.
but
Wait a minute. So you have to train people to be good?
Yes.
Yeah. They don't just be good.
No, well, the cool thing is there's some companies that you just push a button and you just get leads unlimited.
Yeah.
And
I've never met
no
them.
problem.
I wish I could find those.
Yeah.
people.
I mean, every
you guys are that company,
Facebook
hit me
ad
up
is
on
that.
Instagram.
Yeah, exactly.
Listen, you want to buy this Lamborghini?
Yeah.
Call me.
Yeah.
Are you tired of calling the same list?
Yeah.
We got the super secret list.
We got to list that. Even the lists don't even list on. It's like an exclusive list. It's like
barely
Raya, but for like
legal.
wholesaling.
Yeah. No, it's you gotta audit all their calls. You gotta have a call with them every single day.
Yeah. Sales
And there's
manager.
a process to just make them
Lethal. on the phones.
one part of the team.
Yeah.
And actually feel like they have a secure job. And I think that's 80% of it is them knowing that they've got a secure paycheck.
They have like career.
And when they have that, there's a lot more certainty and there's a lot more confidence. And you can give them really good feedback and they'll actually listen to you because they don't think that they're going to hear from a different voice giving them different advice in a month from now.
So how many VAs do you have?
Well, now I have 2. We're training another
That's
one.
it?
I thought you were
that
going to
is
say
training.
like 60.
I know, man. I
Well,
feel like I always hear that. It's like
people love volume. People love going to Egypt or the Philippines or India and getting big teams that are $2, $3, $4 an hour.
Yeah.
I've done all of that, and my average deal size was a third the size as when you have somebody that is an American caller make the calls. There's just more
That's what I was
cultural
gonna ask.
differences there.
You mentioned it's an American in Costa Rica.
Yeah.
Are they paid kind of like on a Costa Rican salary? Because that's where they at? Or
No,
are they paid on
I
an
pay
American?
$25 an hour.
Damn.
Oh, okay. So really, the Costa Rican aspect irrelevant.
Doesn't
They're
matter.
balling.
Nope. You can
Costa
get
Rica,
somebody
they're
Yeah,
here.
they're making good money in Costa Rica,
Yeah.
but
But
they're still getting paid.
Here's
an
the
American
secret
salary.
sauce, though. Americans living in the continental U.S. are soft.
Yeah.
They are constantly looking over their shoulder for an opportunity to not be on the phones.
Yeah.
In Costa Rica and Central America, they can either do this job or they can do customer service,
Yeah.
which is a nightmare, right? So they love these opportunities and they stick with it, and they're not like calling in sick. They're not screwing around. They're not, I got a better opportunity here.
Yeah, they have a good job.
And I'm sure they're running from the law or something. A lot of them.
What?
They're just like dip into Costa Rica.
Oh.
And
I don't know. I mean, there's so many digital nomads here, and just like a little trick of the trade, just double the hourly.
is.
That's your salary.
That's
so
it.
if you're getting paid $25 an hour, that's basically $50,000 a year.
Yeah.
If you're doing that in Costa Rica or in many countries, that's a really good wage.
Yeah.
yeah.
What about, you said you did 1.7. Where did the rest of the money come from?
Referrals.
Referrals from
Yeah.
your clients?
Other wholesalers
Oh,
that
okay,
need
okay.
help with us selling the deal.
Got it.
Part of that is joint ventures on flips.
Okay.
Where we provide the financing, split the deal.
Yeah.
Part of that is is from pay-per-click and text message. So the 4 legs really are referrals, calls, texts, and PPC.
So how are your text messaging working now?
It was awful last year.
Yeah.
We've already made as much this year, this first quarter, as we did last year.
What?
But we switched from batch leads to launch control.
Oh.
Okay, what's the difference between the two?
Batch is great for skip tracing. They're the best in the business. They're great for keeping us organized. We're in it every day. We pull lists out of there. But they just, I don't think they wanted a long-term plan for text message marketing.
Yeah.
And
TCPA.
That's what they love calling it.
Yeah.
And so we went with launch control and they've been phenomenal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they've been absolutely incredible.
Got
it was like a 30% delivery rate and now it's 90%.
Ooh.
So it's much better.
That's
Much
really
better.
high.
Much better.
That's really high. So, okay. So obviously you're a big time wholesaler. Everyone knows that. Everyone knows you for wholesaling, cold calling, but you're really an entrepreneur / marketer in disguise. And I think most people don't understand that. Even Robuilt here, we did the podcast yesterday and I was like, dude, you're actually like a marketer. Like your mind is marketing copy, content, all this stuff.
I was a copywriter by trade. I worked at an ad agency for 10 years. Different ad agencies for 10 years. How about that?
Sure.
Yeah. So, the one thing about advertising is that everybody tells you suck. Yeah. Hey, I have this headline. What do you think? And the creative director's like, not good. How about if we did it this way? And it's like a completely different thing. So that really is the stem. Like that stems into like all of my things where I'm like, man, I'm so overly critical. But it's the best skill I have is being able to overly criticize a headline.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Well, listen, the ability to communicate is the most valuable skill, in my opinion. And I think you being a copywriter, that's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, sky's the limit. I think that there should be like copywriting classes for every entrepreneur, for real.
I agree.
I mean,
and just for everybody listening at home, copywriting, COPYWRITING. A lot of people, I would tell people growing up, hey, I'm a copywriter, growing up in my career.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm a copywriter. Like, oh, you do the little trademark, the little R balls?
Yeah.
And I'm like, no. Copywriting, like writing, I actually write headlines, and that was like my career for a long time.
Incredible.
I wrote for Gatorade.
You worked for
Smoky
Gatorade?
Moonshine, Hyundai, Sonic, and basically
Those are big
anything.
I used to
accounts.
work at
That's
Sonic.
legit.
So we might have worked together and we didn't even know. But I wrote basically all their like Twitters, their Instagram, their Facebook copy, anything that you saw in their posts. I wrote that for the time that it was working there.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So Brett, when did you realize that marketing was your thing?
I don't know. Like, I think it's all communication. Again, I think it's just the way that you communicate because there's certain things that I say that make like my wife cringe. You know what I mean?
I do know. what you mean.
I say a lot of stuff that my wife cringes.
Basically everything.
Yeah.
No, I mean like professionally or like when you're pitching or when you're doing something, and people that really know you, they're like, oh God, what is that? You know what I mean? And there's
I hate that so much.
But listen,
oh my God.
but it helps.
I get it.
It helps to understand how different people communicate and different personalities communicate. So I think that's all marketing is.
Yeah.
Like what is who are you going after?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When I talk about going out and making millions of dollars by picking up the phone and having quality conversations with people that own ugly houses.
Yeah.
Real estate agents are like, oh my gosh, it's so gross.
Yeah.
Oh, why would you be so flippant about making millions and
cutting us out,
right? And all the whatever it is,
Regulation.
You know what I mean? So I think the ability to communicate effectively with people that own these distressed properties is a skill, and I love that skill, and it took a lot of time, and so I think that now. People can cut to the front of the line because we have these podcasts, we have these YouTube channels. Why are you smiling so much?
Because you know what? I want to say something. So, okay, I was a realtor.
Yeah.
Right? Do you know who Mike Ferry is?
Yeah, of course.
You know, I know you do. Do you know?
Yeah.
Of course, he's the greatest in the realty business.
Realty business.
Yeah.
Okay, so Mike Ferry makes all these videos about cold call this, cold call that, show up in a suit, dial, time management, set your appointments, go out there, all this crap, right? But Mike Ferry is a YouTuber. He sells millions of dollars in education from YouTube, but he never talks about that. He always talks about cold calling.
Right.
He tells his people not to post on social media, that social media is a waste of time, while he is making millions of dollars selling out events, selling coaching on YouTube.
You know who's the most gangster?
Who?
Zillow.
Yeah.
Zillow has warehouses of cold callers that call every single real estate agent and tell them, don't go out and reach out to people, buy our ads, buy our leads.
They do.
Interesting.
Yeah.
They're the most effective callers in the industry.
Is this known? Is it known that Zillow has like a warehouse?
Oh yeah.
If you're a realtor,
This is yeah.
you're a realtor, they blow you up.
Because I've never in a million years thought that Zillow was like a cold calling.
Do you have a real estate
Every
license?
company is.
I did at one time. I used to be an apartment locator.
Every single,
me.
Yeah.
This hotel has a cold calling staff.
Yeah.
Every insurance person, every insurance company has cold calling. Every mortgage, every industry. Every industry has people that reach out all day long to find business. The commercial real estate space, you have to spend the first 5 to 10 years calling every single day.
Broker.
Everybody that owns commercial real estate gets calls all day long from brokers to build relationships.
Yeah.
I mean, it's in every industry. It just wasn't in real estate investing until I started getting real loud about it.
Yeah.
And it's not just me. It really coincided with the availability of skip tracing.
100%.
And when skip tracing was once you were able to get accurate phone numbers, and the data companies, essentially the credit agencies sold the data, and that's how we have skip tracing.
So with skip tracing, what is that?
That means that you put in a name and address, and they send you back a phone number.
And then you can just...
It's like, when people skip town on debts, right? And so you would have to call them up and find them and have a conversation with them. I think that's where the skip part comes from.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're skipping out on paying stuff.
Did you know that?
No.
And then tracing. I mean,
Yeah, I know skip tracing.
So it's basically, you put a paper over the thing. And
you trace it.
You just like...
That's it. I think it's more the tracing like a tracer.
Yeah, no, I'm just...
I didn't know that.
It's a bit. In Hollywood, we do bits.
I love
We're
it.
coming live from Hollywood, California.
I love it.
I knew what skip tracing was, but it was just a softball, just in case people don't know.
No, I get
honestly,
it.
I am sort of new to this. Like, I am very interested in finding, like, I walk properties all the time. I walk neighborhoods all the time. And when there's a property in distress, I write that address down.
Yeah.
I have a notepad of probably 100 addresses.
Yep.
And I'm always like, okay, I know that the process for the most part is driving for dollars. You go, you find something, grass is tall, plywood over the window. You write that address down. Theoretically, you skip trace at that point, right? Yep. You find out who owns it. You call them and you say, hey, I noticed that your property is distressed. Would you be interested in selling it?
Yeah.
Is that sort of the kind of the flow on that?
Yeah, I mean, you don't tell them that their property's in distress or that they're in distress or anything like that. You just call them up and you say, I'm looking at this property that I believe you own on 1212 Banana Street. And they go, yeah. And what about it? And you say, well, I was interested to see if you would consider an offer on that property there. And they give you 1 of 6 responses. So
I didn't know that. So you don't want, so is it offensive to say it's in distress? Or
You've got 5 seconds to get the next 30 seconds. Okay. So 1, call them by the first name, have a really good tone of voice, like you're a neighbor, like you've talked before. You don't want to be too bombastic, but you don't want to be too like professional. You call them by their first name, and then you kind of hesitate. I'm just calling because of a property I believe you own here, right? And that's what you do. And then they're like, yeah, what about it? Instead of calling like, your home came up on my computer as you don't make your mortgage payment. And I was just calling to see why that is.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's going to put up their force field more. So it's more, let me talk about the property, not about your situation. And then let's bring it back around and see if a cash offer or a creative offer is the best solution for you. And really, it's just seeing, okay, what is the problem here? Because every property owner that sells their property at a discount is trading price for speed and convenience. Okay? And the only reason they typically do that is because they have a problem that a cash offer will solve. Mm-hmm. And that's why they want to work with us. And so if they don't want speed and convenience and they want price, we'll go list it. We'll put it on the market. Like 90 to 94% of the people that don't sell it to people like us. And that happens, often. But there is people that they're like, you give me $100,000 for this property and it's yours. And then you just go down the.
See, I feel like I just learned more about wholesaling in the last 30 seconds than I have my whole life
Dude, you're the host of Bigger Pockets.
No, well, listen. I hear all the different facets, right? Sure. But when you talk about the bullet points of wholesaling, it's, hey, drive for dollars, find distressed properties, call the owner. But you don't ever hear the nuances of calling the owner and working with them through their situation, being like, hey, I want to buy this property. What you always hear, especially in the TikToks and in the Facebook ads, is like, distressed property, they don't want it. Call them, make them a crazy offer, and if you do it 100 times, you'll get it. Sure. Which obviously,
it's a numbers game.
It is a numbers game. But what my impression is going into it, you're like, go in, and I thought, hey, I understand the grass is a little long, and you're like trying to find sort of the reason, like kind of some of the pain behind the property. Yeah. Whereas you're saying you go into it. You just talk to them. Yeah. Hey, I want to buy this property. Yeah. Everything else, I'm going to pretend like I don't know. And they know because they're the ones that are dealing with it. And you make the offer and you kind of like talk to them through it. So that's cool.
Number one thing is, have they made the decision they're going to sell this property? That's the number one thing. If they've made the decision in their mind that they're going to sign a document transferring ownership to somebody else, then you just find out 4 things: the condition of the property, their timeline to sell it, their motivation or what their problem is, and their price. So you get those 4 things. That's the skeleton of every conversation we have with a property owner, is those 4 things. And if you can find those 4 things, then you can see if they want to do business with you. And so that's what you learn to do. You learn to talk about, okay, what remodeling have you done to the property? You know what I mean? What's important to you about the person that buys your property? Nobody asks that. Yeah, people are just like, what price do you want?
Yeah.
You know
what's the lowest you'd be willing to go?
Right. On a scale of 1 to 10, how motivated are you? Yeah. Like, come on.
Seriously, that's what I'm
taught for years.
That's what I hear. The only people that I've heard not talk about that is Jamil. Mm-hmm. Jamil talks about the potential, right? So you give the seller what they want, and then you go and you find the opportunity on behalf of the buyer and what they can turn the property into. And I think that's a really good way to approach it, because it puts a human element to wholesaling, whereas oftentimes I hear like, scale of 1 to 10, how bad do you want to give it? 7? Great. Would you take $1? I'll give that to you right now.
People think that wholesaling is calling old people up that have no idea what their value is and just slashing all their equity and taking their property. And that's not it. 85 to 90% of the deals that we do are from tired landlords.
Yeah.
They're from people that have renters that have beat it to hell. They had these visions of building a portfolio and having this great asset, and one thing or another happened in their life and they couldn't put attention on this property. If you don't put attention on your property, things are going to go wrong. Yeah. So then they go, okay, tenant, I won't raise your rents, but you fix the property. Well, they're not going to fix the property. They'll do enough, but they're not going to do the landscaping. They're not going to do the roof. They're not going to do the mechanical parts of a property. They're not going to update it, right? So now you've got a property that's been sitting, and every 10 years, let's call it, and I think I'm being, kind of long with the timeline here, but every 10 years there's a style change. Yeah. All of a sudden, white cabinets aren't cool anymore. Yeah. All of a sudden, gray floors are disgusting. Yeah. Now, all of a sudden, earth tones are great. Now, all of a sudden, the cherry cabinets are back. Now, all of a sudden,
the oak cabinets.
Right.
Yeah, the espresso
now, all of a sudden,
cabinets.
it's changing. And so, people, if you don't keep your properties updated and looking great, you don't get top dollar. And then they don't want to do anything.
That is the craziest thing about real estate, is how fast it changes. Because I remember in college touring the apartments, like they were just brand new. Austin, Texas, espresso.
Oh, yeah.
Stained concrete. And I remember being like, oh my gosh, this is a billionaire's house. You know?
Yeah.
And like now, like all the things that I used to like, I'm like, man, all right, how do I paint those white? And how do I paint those green or like navy blue? You know what I mean? So like real estate is one of those things that changes so much
Floor
year
plans.
to year.
Floor plans change. I mean, I don't know what was happening in the 70s, but they built the dumbest properties of all time with step downs and step ups and different layers. And all of a sudden you have a tiny
pits, although I do like those.
Conversation pits, tiny little galley kitchens and then all of a sudden you're in the 90s and you have these big ridiculous houses with big dining rooms and family rooms that nobody goes in. And then you're like, what is happening here? I mean, it's constantly evolving. So real estate, if you're not reinvesting into your properties, you're not going to get the full Zillow price. I don't care if you bought it for $100 and it's now worth $300,000. It's probably worth $220 if you don't upgrade it.
100%. Okay, so
anyway,
I want to pivot.
Yep.
So
how long have we been going? This is like the longest podcast of all time.
No. Actually, it feels just right.
Yeah, it feels just right. Okay, so I want to pivot to marketing.
Yes.
So
back to marketing.
And we're back.
You are
I have a problem with you saying marketing because I feel like I'm a prospector and I'm a relationship builder.
That's one way to put it.
Because marketing is when people call you. I don't do a lot of that. I don't do a lot of that with my business until this year. This year is the first time that I've been going hard at an in-house pay-per-click, and I just started TV ads.
But you're thinking about marketing as it comes to real estate. I'm talking about marketing when it comes to personal brand.
Okay.
Yeah. So you have built a personal brand. Millions
organic
of people have seen you or heard you.
Yeah.
So you have a personal brand. So talk to me about when was the first time that you were like, oh shit, I should make videos.
Yeah. That was Max Maxwell. I saw Max Maxwell's first video where he was doing he was in a cowboy hat and he was walking around at a Sean Terry event, and I was like,
back in the day,
this is ridiculous. And then it just went bananas, and I was like, he's just he's never done a deal before. Or he's done you know what I mean? Like he wasn't.
I'm better than this guy.
It would have been his first couple years, right? He'd been doing some flips and he's phenomenal. He's a genius at it. He really he blazed the path for all of us that came behind that. But he was the first guy that I saw like Gary V real estate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. He literally took the Gary V model and did real estate, and so he just documented what he did.
Do you know who Max Maxwell is?
No.
That's funny. You're in a different world. Bigger Pockets is a different world than the wholesaler.
I used to work for Gary.
With a guy named did you?
Did you really?
At his ad agency.
Oh,
I worked at VaynerMedia.
Yeah.
Copywriting?
Oh
my gosh, dude. You're phenomenal.
It's interesting that...
But Bigger Pockets is lucky to have you. Like, for real.
Stop that.
Real.
Stop.
Okay, so...
I mean, great. They picked right. Yeah.
Okay, so you saw Max Maxwell, but what made you think... Was it like, oh, I could do it better than this guy? And then
it was never that. It was...
It's all right to think that. We're humans. I think that all the time.
No, I knew... So I think the thing that really flipped me was Tom Kroll, who owned Wholesaling Inc. and started the Wholesaling Inc. podcast.
Yeah.
And he made it very clear, and I hope I do this for your audience as well. Every time you hear somebody on stage or on a podcast or on YouTube, it's either education, right? Just breaking down what something is.
Yeah.
It's entertainment, or it's instruction.
Yeah.
And he said, if you really want to be long lasting, make an impact, make it like 90% instruction. Go do this.
Got it.
Go do this. And I built a reputation for making videos of go do this.
Yeah.
Go do it this way. This is how you get to 100,000 or 250,000 or all these things.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't the one that was following the trends that was like, okay, I'm going to go jump on, do everything that Graham Stephan is doing and be everything to everywhere and do the whole economy and do interest rates and do all these things to build a big... I wanted a smaller YouTube channel that was very specific, and that just have people that like really loved it, as opposed to people that just because I think with YouTube you constantly have to be on top of trends, and if you're not, your channel's gonna. You see these people that have $400,000, $500,000 500,000 subscribers, and they get like 1,000 views on their video.
Yeah,
you're like, what happened here?
Yeah,
but then they got 2 million or 3 million on like 2 or 3 videos.
Yeah,
and you're like, okay, so I would rather like slow grow and be really instructional.
Okay, so you saw Max Maxwell. You're like, all right,
yep,
I need to do this. What
he
was
gave
the first
me the
thing
courage to get a camera and just turn it on and post it to YouTube.
So you started on YouTube.
Yeah.
So you didn't start with a podcast.
I started doing the podcast with Wholesaling Inc., but it wasn't video. And I knew video was everything. Yeah.
Really?
It was all audio.
By yourself or with
Listen,
Pace?
Brian, back in the day, podcasts were audio only. You know, the whole video thing, that's new.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. You
didn't have video?
I think it was Joe Rogan that really made that like a popular thing.
Sorry, is that a podcaster too?
Yeah. I think so. He used to
I don't see that one. I don't know. That one, it sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but so I was doing interviews on the podcast, but it was all audio.
When?
And this is 2000. I started in 2017.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
Damn.
And then 2018 and on, I've done hundreds, and but the video was what really grew the channel.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Obviously.
So how many like listens or downloads are you doing or views are you doing a month now?
I don't know.
You don't look at me for that?
Yeah.
You're the YouTube guy.
Yeah.
Roughly.
We've got like 70. We got 78,000 subscribers, and I don't know what I think we've since we started in 2018. I think we're at like 6 million views total.
Okay, but what
That's
about
good.
on
In terms
the?
of growth, we were up 80% last week.
Got it.
Right.
But what about
That's a
on the
lot.
podcast, like downloads or listens? Do you know?
Oh, with the podcast, so we have 2 podcasts.
Uh-huh.
One is with Pace and Jamil.
Yeah.
And that one is Wholesale Hotline. We get 160,000 a month there.
Okay.
Great.
And then the Wholesaling Inc. podcast gets 300,000 a month.
Oh my god.
That's very good.
That's a
man.
lot.
That's
dude.
a lot
And the
of- that's a
wholesaling.
lot
I mean,
of downloads.
bigger pockets, they do that
Yeah, but
each
that's still
episode, but
that's still you're still in the top 1%.
yeah.
That is
Yeah.
huge.
I'm very proud.
Yeah.
Yeah, very proud.
Yeah. So okay, so you started doing your grind, making videos and podcasts and all
Yeah.
that stuff. Like, I guess, what was the goal you were looking for? Because you were a wholesaler and you obviously weren't gonna get distressed sellers that call you and say, "Hey, I listened to your podcast. Can you come like assign my house?"
Well, it's 2 businesses. It was I've got a real estate business and I got a coaching business.
Oh,
Interesting. So the podcast side of it, from a funnel standpoint, does that tend to funnel that tends to funnel more education?
100%.
Oh,
It's
okay,
wholesalers. It's not. Listen, there's not conferences for homeowners that are like, this is how you get the most out of your
This
property.
is how you sell your house.
This is
Yeah,
this is what you
totally.
say when
Yeah, yeah.
somebody calls you about your house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, the podcast was to encourage and to instruct and to support people that wanted to wholesale real estate.
yeah, cool.
And still is.
So what about, okay, so you have this huge podcast, you have this, YouTube channel, Instagram, all these things. Why do you keep wholesaling?
Oh, I love
feel
it.
like
I'm a
most
deal
people get
junkie.
out of it.
Oh no, I love
Stay
it.
sharp, right?
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Really?
Oh my gosh. Dude, like I love when students win and build great businesses and do all that on this side.
Uh-huh.
Doing a deal that my team, we just did a deal last week. It was a pay-per-click for my guy that just started from Tank, and he's been working so hard, and it had been like 30 days, and we got this deal and we sold it, and it got bid up, and we're making like $68,000, right? And it's like, what?
Yeah.
This is bananas.
That's
Yeah,
a lot.
for
From
sure.
one conversation that we had with a property owner.
Yeah.
Like,
Which
this
is more
absolutely
than the US
incredible.
median
Right.
for a salary.
Right.
Yeah.
$68,000. Like you can make that with 100 calls, 62 calls.
Calls, pay per click.
very- yeah,
I
absolutely.
think like if you're just getting started out, you don't have connections, you don't have experience, you don't have the money to pay for marketing typically. So go out and like earn it.
Yeah.
Like I
Totally.
truly believe it is not, and this is another Tom Krollism. It's not what is it? Action. Education plus action equals results. It's the action plus the results is your education. And that's a huge part, because I am telling you, it is an epidemic in our world, in real estate investing in general, that people just stay in education mode.
Yeah.
They never go out and do anything.
Yeah.
They
100%.
just feel comfortable there in education mode.
Yeah.
And if they realize that the action plus the results is the education, they'll make a huge impact.
Can we talk about the Wholesale Inc. deal?
Yeah.
Okay, so
It was incredible.
So I guess, like, for people that don't know, I don't know if Robuilt knows, can you explain what Wholesale Inc. was, where you were at, and what happened?
So Wholesaling Inc. was kind of like was really the pioneer in podcasting and wholesaling education, starting in 2013, but really started building it up in 2016, then started taking off, and that was with the incredible Tom Kroll and his brother Todd Toback. And I heard the podcast in 2016, and I had already been doing wholesale deals, but I was like, I got to be around these guys. This is incredible. I just want to join so I could be in their community, so that I could get to know them and be around them. And so I did, and I started posting to all the Facebook groups, and I joined the program, the coaching, and you have the private group, and I'd post all these screenshots of deals that we had closed from just calling, because they were very direct mail. And I knew that in Phoenix, direct mail was really rough, really rough. So he was like, there was an event coming up in April, and it was the first conference, and he was like, hey, do you want to come on stage and talk about how you get deals? The first time I wore this shirt, and I haven't taken it off yet. It's my same.
And we
shirt.
asked him before. We were like, hey, we've replicated the shirt. It's clean. Would you swap?
No.
And you were like,
No.
I'm sorry, man. You're committed to it.
Pace and Jamil said it's a tattoo. Yeah.
It's respect.
But
That's funny.
no, so I stood up there and I broke down the whole business, and then that's what really opened up the floodgates. And Tom said, hey, do you want to be a coach under the Wholesaling Inc. brand? So the podcast is popular. You bring on people that have different specialities, and it's almost like they're a band on a record label, or like I'm the show Friends on NBC, right? And so we would split all of the coaching profits, and I would be in charge of fulfillment, and they'd be in charge of bringing in people into the program by letting me be on the podcast. And then I started growing the YouTube channel and started and the podcast kept taking off, and started building up my email database. And then Tom sold the company. Sold the company to a buddy of mine, Chris Arnold.
Oh, okay.
And Chris Arnold, he had a great mastermind, and he just had a tough year. He went through a lot of stuff personally, and didn't want the company anymore. Didn't think that it was what he wanted to do at the time.
Yeah.
And so it was an owner finance deal, like most sales of companies are. And so Tom got the company back, and I was able to buy it from him.
That's crazy. That's like me buying Future Flipper from Ryan.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Big deal.
That is a huge
awesome.
deal.
So like you've
awesome.
just breezed through it in a minute, but I'm
Yeah.
like, if I'm connecting the pieces correctly,
That's like you buying bigger pockets.
that's a big deal.
yeah,
That's a big
It'd be
deal.
like you buying bigger pockets.
Yeah.
That is a big deal.
But obviously that's massive. I mean, bigger pockets
Yeah.
was bought by it.
no, but still,
Big
either way,
company.
you started and you were able to become like a pivotal piece of the company.
And now, Tom's an incredible friend and mentor. He's coming to speak at our event next week, and his brother Todd's an incredible friend and mentor. And so
What's the event?
It's our Growth Summit 2023, and we've got 500 people coming to Phoenix, and it's gonna be awesome. Yeah, it's gonna be really awesome.
When is it?
500 people.
15th and 16th, so next weekend.
Of April?
Yeah.
Okay.
Will this podcast be
We might get it out by then. We might get it out by
If we
then.
hustle, we can get it out before then.
What has it been like? I guess. What is it? What is that? What is Wholesale Inc.? What kind of business is it? Is it education?
It's
is
a
it
coaching and
media?
training business.
It's a coaching, but it also has media, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think every business has media. Though.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
every business in a sense is a media business, but at the heart of it, it's a coaching and training business.
Yeah. So what was it like going
and a
from-
community? I mean, we call it the Rhino Tribe. I mean, that's The biggest part for anybody that's going out there, and you can see what Pace has done, you can see what Jamil's done, you can see what you guys have done, you can see what Bigger Pockets has done, you can see what Wholesaling Inc. has done, is if there is not a very, 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 very huge emphasis on the community and the tribe, it's not going to last. It's just a money grab.
Yep.
It's just a money grab. 100%. And if the leader of it doesn't want that, isn't suited to truly like uplift and go and take it to the next level and be in it, it's just not going to last. It's just truly not going to last. And so the community aspect is everything. You can find, there is not a secret out there.
No,
I'm telling you, there's not with us sitting around talking all the time. We're just three guys. There's 3,000 guys talking and gals and unbelievable professionals out there talking all the time, telling everybody what to go and do. But when you find a community that you're like, wow, like I'm in, like this feels good. That's when you build something awesome.
I kind of feel like secrets are useless without community.
Yeah.
You know, like I put out so much stuff on like YouTube, Instagram, and people are like, dude, I cannot believe you are feeding your own competition.
Yeah, sure.
And I'm like, yeah, I mean, but they still have to go and do it.
Yeah.
And that's hard to do alone. But when you have a set of people that are doing it together, that's where the magic really happens, is like people working towards the same goal, fueling each other's fire. It's a lot harder alone than it is together. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and wholesaling, I mean, the fact that nobody knows, like, if I go to a family reunion and talk about wholesaling, my family's eyes will gloss over. They have no, they're like, yeah, awesome. Yeah,
cool.
Congrats.
So you're like a realtor.
So it's like Costco, but for houses?
Yeah. You sell shirts.
You know what I mean? So being around people that understand what you're doing is really important.
Yeah.
It's really important. And if you understand how powerful it is to find discounted properties and how proven of a path that is to changing whatever you want financially, you need to be around people like that. Or people are going to tear down your confidence and your ability to do that.
So random question. How old are you right now?
41.
Okay, so 41, you own Wholesale Inc., you own TTP, you own a wholesaling company. Like, what is your goal? Like, what are you trying to do with all these businesses?
Wholesaling Inc. is a new thing. That's 6 months into it. The biggest focus is making sure that the community is thriving and people are actually going out and winning and doing deals and it's not just stuck in education mode. So I don't know how to quantify that. There's not like I need this company to be at like $20 million for me to feel harmony inside. Like that's, maybe it will. I don't know. And maybe and I talk to Ryan Panetta about this all the time. Maybe I'm just a bad business person. I don't. There's goals in mind, but it's more like the amount of people that we can impact. Having 100,000 subscribers to a YouTube channel that you built the way that you like, just true to yourself. That's huge to me.
That's priceless.
Having the people in my business, like everybody in my business, my acquisition manager, disposition manager were my college roommates and teammates. Okay. One of them, my lead manager, is his wife. Chad, we found door knocking solar during COVID in the middle of the summer in Phoenix. So we knew that he had the chops. And
did you find him because he knocked on your door?
No, we looked on LinkedIn, but like, if you're door to door during COVID,
and in Phoenix,
during July.
Hey, back in the day, I used to sell alarm systems. Door to door in high school, and those were the glory days, honestly.
So big deal. I want more people to get wholesale deals, following our method than anything else.
Got it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Got it. That's it. And then from there, grow an actual. The goal is not just go do a deal. The goal is do a deal, get consistent so that you can fire your boss, and then build it so that you can start firing yourself from it. And then when you're at that point that I'm at now, where I'm not working in the day to day in my wholesaling business, still love it. still want to like get the deals. Now you go and you buy assets. Now you go buy that apartment complex. Now you go buy those Airbnbs. Now you go do those things. Because I've seen everybody, like a lot of people come into this, make a ton of money wholesaling, and then lose everything and or don't get paid for 6 months because they're going to go flip this triplex.
Yeah.
With no flipping experience, with no, you know, and the market shifts on them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So build this whole thing that's going to be your cash cow and be your financial partner to then go buy really good assets.
Got it.
That's like my goal in this industry is to tell people, listen, you don't have to go and buy that rental in Indianapolis for $40,000 that's going to cash flow for $200 that you're going to end up giving all that money back plus some because people are going to beat up that property and it's not really an asset. It's going to cause you a lot of heartache. These are the properties that people buy wholesale, and just build this business first and then go and buy really good properties and really good school districts that are going to be it's not going to be the biggest headache in your life.
Yeah. What about you, Rob? So like you're the freaking president of the real estate world almost. You're the seriously, you're the you're the pro-host.
Titular, yeah.
So like what are you gonna do? You're like literally leading the real estate world. Everyone listens to Bigger Pockets. Everyone knows Bigger Pockets. You're the leader of the real estate investment world. Like what are you planning to do with that?
Yeah, so I sort of take the role as less of a leader, right? Like David Green, Brandon Turner, they're the people that have gone out and totally killed it. And I think when I was brought on to the podcast, it's because I had established myself in the real estate world, but I'm not like this kingpin titan. Like I'm still really interested. And so what I really like about the role is I talk to titans like you, and I hear all these different business opportunities that are really great. I get to see how people can be successful in real estate, and I try a little bit of everything. So my bread and butter, for the most part, is Airbnb. But I still get very curious about like wholesaling, sub-2, creative finance, flipping. And so as much as I want to be comfortable and go in the Airbnb space, I actually get a little bit more excitement out of being uncomfortable and going into the flipping space. Like I've made 2 or 3 offers this week on random flips that like, I'm like, you know what? I know like the concepts back and forth. It's like I've gone to college for this because I've interviewed so many people that have, you know, to them flipping is no big deal. And like, I'm like, yeah, if you follow the curriculum, you can't really be unsuccessful at it. You know what I mean? So for me, it's actually a very unique position that excites me because I'm actually cool with failing. I'm cool with breaking even. I said this earlier, like in Vegas, the big adage is a push is a win.
Yeah, sure.
You know what I mean? And so I like take on these flips. I'm like, I think I'm gonna make money at it, but if I break even, that's cool. I still like got a lot of life experience at it. If I lose money, I'll never lose money again doing that same mistake. Yeah. So for me, I'm like looking for new things that scare me a little bit because I'm a big believer that every mistake makes you a millionaire. And so I'm cool with like taking on new scary projects because I know 5 years from now I'm going to be like, I wouldn't have been able to achieve the same success without kind of, messing up a little bit. I mess up all the time and I'm cool with it. It's like I'm happy to do it.
You know what I thought about too? Like, so the first time I bought a rental property, long story short, I got an escrow. I got super scared and I was like, freak, I don't know what to do. So I went on YouTube and I was like, how much money do rentals make? Yeah. And then Brandon Turner comes up and that's what introduced me into Bigger Pockets. And that was my guy. There are people where you are their guy. They want to start wholesaling and they're like, I don't know what to do. Cold calling assignments, you pop up or whatever. Bigger Pockets, you come up. They don't even know who Brandon Turner is, right?
It's weird, yeah.
Isn't that weird to think about? Because he was the guy for so long, but now you guys are the ones inspiring these new people who are going to make a living because they watched your YouTube video or they listened to your podcast.
I mean, most success stories, the root of them is failure. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, I am like, I was listening to Ryan Pineda today. He's talking about, oh, we lost money. I've lost money on this flip and this flip. And the way he talks about it, I'm so inspired because I'm like, man, it's really cool to see someone that's like, yeah, that's the failure that made me $2 million on this project over here. You know what I mean? And so I kind of go into every project knowing like, okay, it may not go according to plan. And even if it doesn't, the next one that I go into will go according to plan because I'll never make the same mistake twice.
Yep. Yeah. 100%. Well, all right, guys, this was the Wealthy Investor Podcast. We are going to dinner right now. Peace.
Dude, I love